The video showed that here is the mathematical model called reaction diffusion system, which corresponds to several physical phenomena. In other words, this model showed the matter spread out over a surface, with the change in space and the change in time. You can see that this mathematical model is very similar to the nerve system in human's brain. We interviewed the Dr. Lawrence in UBC. He did the research to model the nervous system with the mathematical models.
We're hoping to get a computational mathematical understanding of how the brain functions to create our thinking, perception, consciousness, and all that sort of thing. In order to do that, we have
Dr.
to
Lawrence
understand
also talked about the main
detailed
findings
structure
of
the
his
brain.
paper.
The way that they're connected is that excitatory neurons, neurons that tend to excite other neurons, tend to be connected in a local region surrounded by inhibitory neurons. And so what you find is that groups of neurons, this applies to at several scales in the brain as well. Groups of neurons at one scale will be exciting neurons in a different place and also inhibiting neurons at other places.
And that's the Mexican
That's
hat
the
shape.
Mexican hat shape.
And when we focus on the nervous cells, when there is no noise involved, it generates the consistent wave like shown in the video. But when noise being added, we can see that neighboring nervous cells interact together and show different brain patterns. Except for the main finding, Dr. Lawrence also talked about the application of this study.
And so a lot of people in machine learning think, well, if we could figure out how the brain does these things, we could do them a lot more efficiently with the computer by having computer emulate neurons.
Interesting.
And actually, the first computer machine learning algorithms that really worked, the parallel distributed processing neural networks, they do emulate certain aspects of neurons. That's where they started. Each node in a neural network, old-style neural network, it takes inputs from a whole bunch of other nodes or from outside world inputs, thresholds them, and then sums them, thresholds that, sends that output to the next stage. And that's just a very caricature of what a neuron does. So even machine learning has been modeled out after neurons for years. Convolutional neural networks are even more modeled after neural networks.
In conclusion, areas in the brain line up in the shape of the Mexican hat, and when noise involved, the brain waves will interact with each other. The results from this study show that it may be possible to predict some parts of how a person uses senses, but building any part of the brain will take decades of research.